Hello and welcome to Business Point, live in the nation's capital, Abuja, here on Global Television. I'm Queen Agaba. And on Business Point, we're X-ray Nigeria's economy. We look into government policies, tech, innovation, and business at large. Many thanks for joining me. Today, we're going to be looking at Nigeria's economy in view. And I'm not going to be doing this alone, as I'm joined by my guest, who is a financial analyst, John Ochai. He will join me to talk about and give an introspective look at all of the recent happenings in Nigeria, from the FX market to the fleeing Binance CEO and to business in general, telecoms and all of that. I am joined by John Ochai, who we will together delve into the matters affecting Nigeria's economy just after this break. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. It's still Business Points live in the nation's capital, Abuja, here on Global TV. And like I said, we explain Nigeria's economy, government policies, business, tech, and innovation. I'm joined by my guest, John Ochai, who would be discussing Nigeria's economy in view, recent happenings around Nigeria and its economy. Many thanks for joining me on the program, Mr. John. Okay. Can you hear me? Okay, we'll just go over, I think Mr. Chai is, trying to connect. We'll just go over the business world, what's happening in the news, and hopefully he reconnects with us so we can have the conversation around Nigeria's economy in view. Now, in business, the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment has directed applicants of the presidential conditional grant scheme to submit their national identification numbers as part of the necessary requirement to obtain a grant earmarked to cushion the effects that recent economic reforms have had on businesses in the country. The government, through the Bank of Industry, had said it would be disbursing 3 categories of funding, totaling 200 billion naira to support manufacturers and businesses across the country. It said the new rule was based on the new regulations from the Central Bank of Nigeria directing Nigerians to link their national identification numbers with their bank accounts. It added that only verified applicants will receive these notifications, and NINs must match the applicant's name for the process to proceed. Now, before we go over to other business news, I am being told that Mr. Ochai has connected with us now. Good morning, Mr. Ochai.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the program.
You're welcome.
Now, I want us to look at Nigeria's economy in view with all of the happenings, around, particularly, obviously, we're going to go into insecurity and all of that. But I want us to first of all look at Binance, the fleeing Binance CEO. First of all, he was in custody to be probed, over the allegations surrounding his Binance in Nigeria on the count of taxes, evading tax, financing terrorism in the country, and all of that. What do you make of this issue presently?
Thank you for bringing me on board, and thank you, viewer out there listening to Global TV, and then the issue on the discussions. Basically, Nigeria is a very good society, and their dealing is also the approach to things rather is amazing. The truth of the matter is that we have some agencies that are saddled with the responsibility on issues to be managed irrespective of tribe, religion, and every aspect of the stratas of our geopolitical zone. So what I mean by that is this. When we have issues of fundings of terrorism, issues of fraud, infiltrating into fintechs, and then at the same time taking money from the system, there are people that are saddled with responsibility to manage all those encumbrances. First and foremost, we have EFCC, that every issue surrounding or related to issues of fraud will be managed by EFCC. And those who are capable of all those things should be arrested by the EFCC. And then the central banks of Nigeria are saddled with responsibility to monitor every aspect of the finances that will be heavy for the economics of the nation. If they are not doing very well on their responsibility, I think those who are the hem of affair that are saddled with responsibility to discharge those responsibility are also to be held responsible for mismanagement or malmanagement of all those encumbrances. Then we have Nigeria Financial Intelligence Unit. The Nigeria Financial Intelligence Unit are saddled with responsibility to monitor all related transactions that is going on between the local and international. If there are much money being moved to international from the local, or money is being moved from the international to the local, then they are saddled with responsibility to gather their intelligence and brings all such information to the confines of the EFCC, and the EFCC will brief the Central Bank of Nigeria, and then the Federal Ministry of Finance, who is who are to advise the government, who advise the government on how to go about it. Then all those agencies that are involved to manage those things are to report back to the government. Then those behind all these malpractices will be arrested. So I think that is what it should be in an economy that wants the economy to work. A situation whereby we don't do what is obtainable, and we expect a needed result that will bring out a positive result. We can't get it from that perspective. If not, those who fund terrorism, banditry, they are not alien from the planet. They are within us. If they are here in Nigeria, they should page them out, and publicly they should show their faces in the media houses for us to recognize them or see them, so that they will be put into a hall of shame. If they are international, and then we have Interpol that can repatriate those who are capable of this, they are repatriate them back to the country, then the law will now take its own share on them. And these are things, these are doable, and these can easily be managed, and then the bank should be reporting to the CBN, often based on the CBN policy. With that, all those encumbrances can be curtailed and managed.
So what's the way forward? What do we do knowing that, and then what happens to people who have invested in, Binance? And, Binance is just one of the many trading platforms that we have. The regulations that was taken for Binance, do you think that more probes should be put into other crypto platforms outside of Binance?
We have been in the country where a lot of trading platform came into Nigeria and some fund Nigerians fund and whisked away with it. And a lot of people died. We lost life. And what is the government doing? When we come and talk about it within 3 to 4, 6 months, and once the situation died from the air, that is the end of it. Nigeria doesn't, the government doesn't come back to feed Nigerians. They don't even bridge communication at all to relate to Nigeria that, okay, this is what we have been doing. This is what we are doing now, just to solve the problem. The National Assemblies are saddled with responsibility to call an ad hoc meeting where they will chair to, monitor every form of transaction, because we have committee that manage the CBN, that in the ad hoc meeting, they will be able to invite the CBN to give a total briefing, because we have different strata on how we manage, and we have different professionals that handle different sectors of the economy. So those who are saddled with responsibility with those in the sectors of the economy, one, it is the CBN, Central Bank of Nigeria, which is the CBN. The federal government, through the House of Representatives or the Senate, can call the CBN and ask them, because they are there to represent Nigeria. They will ask them a question, And then they will brief Nigeria on how they have gone about it and what that should be done. What are the loopholes? What are the needed things that need to be changed from the system? What are the new laws that need to be effected for them to, curtail all those excesses that we are experiencing when it comes to trading? We were here one certain time during Buhari regime. What happened? The CBN came on board and said they are eradicating cryptocurrency from Nigeria because it's not healthy for the Nigeria economy. And later time, before he left, what happened? They have to bring Binance and other online tradings that they believe that they have worked on the template that will be headed for the average Nigerian who are willing to participate in the trading. They brought it, and all we could be experiencing is when money goes in, and then bringing those money out, or doing one or two things, that are really involved, automatically it becomes so difficult. Is it that the fintech, or is it that the system is not effective for us to be for it to be in operation? So these are questions that we need to ask, because there are people behind all those things. There are brains behind all those things. So all we need to do is to call the attentions of those who are saddled with responsibility to manage those things. If they are not managing it well based on their personal agronomity, then we should ask them question. Is it that they don't have the technical know-how to manage it? We should ask them question, because it's not a skyrocket. There are systems that back those things, and there are back end that manage all those things. And these are things that they need to look into. So who are who? And how do we arrive here? The situations where you cannot manage, how do you present it to the nation for you to invite your citizen to come into it? These are things that we need to ask ourselves. So until we are beginning to be truthful, until we are beginning to be sincere, until we are beginning to do what is right for our people, and begin to think of the life of our people, the welfare of our people, and then we'll be able to structure a system that will be proactive. We'll structure a system that will be active. We'll structure a system that will bring financial fortune and prosperity to our people, until we begin to think on that direction. If not, we will not get it right. We are in a situation whereby nobody is communicating to any person. For instance, now the government is far from her citizen, and her citizen is also far from the government, because in the channel that we were supposed to bridge the communication, they are not communicating. Who do you meet? And when you meet, how do they tackle it? How do they approach the situation? How do they approach the issue? These are also important things that we need to take note of, until we begin to change our mindset, until we begin to do what is right. If not, we will remain in this quagmire.
Now, away from Binance, but still related, let's look at the recapitalization of banks. I'm sure you're very aware that there is a structure for recapitalization, and it was reported that out of the 24 banks, if I'm not mistaken, only at least 5, 6 or thereabouts, 6 banks would be able to meet that requirement. Can you tell me the purpose for this recapitalization? And again, how can this process be followed? What's your take on the recapitalization, and how transparent? Who do we hold accountable, and how transparent do you think this process is going to be?
Recapitalization is not a bad idea. It's a very good idea. And so to say, it's a frantic idea. Because the essence of recapitalization is to remodel the banking system and to make the banking system so liquid and proactive. And then the risk will also be minimal. And that is exactly when Soludo came to the banking sector and become the CBN governor. What did he do? He recapitalized the banking sector by 25 billion naira for every for license to be given to every bank. So what happened in the in the law, what happened thereafter? Many banks who could not meet up with the requirement, they have to do what they call a merger and acquisition. So those who could not meet up, they have to merge. Sometimes, but other banks swallow another bank within those periods, because as at that time there were no policy to guide, so people were losing their resources, because sometimes when the bank were on board, then your money is not literally was not safe in the banking sector. And then, when it comes to issues of finance and then finances, the government doesn't joke with it. And then that was when Obasanjo brought expatriate, and the expatriate were able to manage the system and able to come with a policy that we were heading for Nigeria. And so when the recapitalization were done, the bank became more trusted and the bank became more liquid. And because if there is no liquid in the economy, automatically then there is a problem. So you can see how Nigeria, the FS exchange rate become an encumbrance because of the depreciations of Nigeria. So what the central bank with the new CBN governor trying to achieve is you will have a formidable banking sector where the bank will be highly automated and will be highly liquid, so that they can finance what they needed to finance. They can finance the economy, and they will make the economy so volatile. And that is exactly what he's trying to achieve. If he does that, those surviving back, they can survive. And those who cannot survive, they have to, we will experience a high merging or a high, buying off. For instance, now, if since we are having 21 banks now, those who could not meet, the other big banks can now beginning to swallow other banks, just like Polaris banks swallow, I can't recall the name of the bank, and Diamond Access Bank, yes. Then Diamond Bank swallow, Access Bank swallow Diamond Bank. You could remember Oceanic as a then, Ecobank swallowed them, and they become so strong and effective. That is how economic is becoming viable, and the system becoming so stronger. Because if you look at Bank of England as of today, they don't have much bank. You have what they call Bank of England, but you have the JP Morgan and other banks that are there. They are very more effective. They don't have so much floated banks around that are not really effective. If you look at Nigeria Bank today, if you go to the bank, yes, they are dishing out profit that to make people see that it's healthy. What they do majorly is to take funds from one bank and put into the bank, use it for a while, give it back to them so that they were able to have a proper balance sheet. That does not mean that the bank is liquid. So with the CBN policy now, is to really impact on the economy by recapitalizing them. So those banks that will survive, fine, it is good. Those who could not survive, they will lost their brand, and then they will merge with the existing bank that will be able to survive it to make Nigeria become more stronger.
Okay, now many people have argued about the transparency of this process. Many people have, talked about, and had a couple of people come on my program talk about, the process and how they doubt that it's going to be transparent, as they say that this recapitalization. Now, I want to know what measures are in place for accountability to see to the transparency of this recapitalization. Or what do you think? What school of thought are you in? Do you think that this is going to be a clear process? Do you think that this is doable? What are your thoughts?
It cannot be doable when we mismanage some information. And I believe with the present CBN is a man of integrity who is trying to build on the existing integrities of the Mr. President Bola Tinubu. And I believe he wouldn't want to tarnish his its own image and tarnish the image of the president. I understand there is an acrobatic and permutations, politics around it, but the truth of the matter, you don't play with you don't play politics when it comes to the issues of banking setup, because it's going to be transparent, because every information and eligibility on how this thing will be dished out from the MPC, that is the Bankers Committee, the CBN governor. So with that, we don't think that there won't be transparency. There will be transparency, and then they won't do it in isolation. The CBN will come out with a policy, and then through those policy, it will be, the information will be put out to the public consumption. And when they look at it, those who are having the confidence on the CBN, who are confidence with the policy and confidence with the paperwork hovering around it, they will look at it. And then that is where the ombudsman's help would come in. When they are seeing the policy and things that they are not really confident and having trust on, the ombudsmen are supposed to come out and begin to, educate the public, and then giving a public enlightenment on how things of such should be done. The CBN also should do what they call massive orientation, and the orientation will go a long way to educate the average populations of this country. And those principal parties that are saddled with the responsibility, because there will be a lot of committee and then there will be a lot of paperwork, they should also come up with information, the proper channels of information, not social media information, because sometimes social media will be misinforming people. So I wouldn't want to toe on that line. I want a proper channel of information, such as the media house like yours and every other media house that have integrity, so that they will put out every information. Then if the CBNs are doing what is negates what they have put out in the media house for public consumption, then we can now hold them accountable and responsible for their dealings.
Okay, now can we look at lastly on this topic of capitalization, or what becomes of customers and stakeholders of these other banks? How do these banks go about it?
Yeah, but when CBN recapitalized the commercial bank and those who could not meet up with the recapitalization, the basic things, there are other things that could be done, and the information will be put out to the public and says, if Bank A could not meet up with the recapitalization, the Bank A will have access to merge with the Bank B. And if the Bank B, Bank C doesn't have the strength, Bank A, Bank B, Bank C can actually come together and merge. And when they merge, they will put out the ratio, they will have MIMAT that will bring the understanding on how they will be able to do the merging. And the merging is not by just Bank A to meet with the Bank B to. So there are CBN policy and guidelines on how this merger will literally work. So these are the things. So it's not something that will be done in isolation, and it's not an oblivion. It's something that can be done with the public awareness, with the public knowledge. And when the merger is being done, there will be information for the public consumption that, okay, this so bank will not meet up. Because of that, it will be done with this bank. For instance, when Access Bank want to, first and foremost, when the Access Bank, they had the deal by merging with Diamond Bank. But in the later on, when the
Okay, I think there's a network disconnect from Mr. Ochai. Let's take a report by Kikelomo Okere on business. When we return, hopefully we'll be reconnected with him and the conversations continues. Please stay with us.
Hello and welcome to Business Reports on Global Morning. Nigeria spent a sum of 7.8 trillion naira to service its debt obligation in 2023, a 121% increase compared to 3.52 trillion naira incurred in the previous year. This is according to the analysis of data released by the Debt Management Office. The breakdown of the data shows that domestic debt service costs stood at 5.23 trillion naira, representing 104% increase from the previous year's 2.56 trillion naira, while external debt service surged by 167% and 2.57 trillion naira compared to 962.5 billion naira recorded in 2022. The significant jump in Nigerian debt service cost was partly due to the devaluation of the local currency, which drove the cost of servicing foreign debt obligation as the CBN grappled with the FX liquidity crisis and exchange rate volatility. The prevailing exchange rate for the quarterly period as provided by DMO was used to convert the external debt cost from dollar to naira. It is noteworthy that the debt servicing cost in the review year surpassed the 6.56 trillion naira that was earmarked for the year. According to the budget document obtained from the Budget Office, the federal government has budgeted 6.56 trillion naira for debt servicing, which is made up of 3.29 trillion naira, that is domestic, 1.81 trillion naira external, and 247.7 billion naira sinking fund, and 1.2 trillion naira as interest on Ways and Means debt to the CBN. In February 2024, the cost of refuel 5 kg cylinder of liquefied petroleum gas, that is cooking gas, rose to 6,154 naira 50 kobo, marking a 19.75% increase from January 2023 price of 5,139.25 naira. Comparing year on year, there was a 33.78% surge from the price of 4,600 naira in February 2023. In the state-by-state analysis, Lagos had the highest average cost for refilling a 5 kg cylinder of liquefied petroleum gas cooking at 6,820 naira, with Imo at 6,785 naira and Anambra 6,750 naira, trailing closely behind. However, the price of refilling 12.5 kg cooking gas saw a month-on-month increase of 28.33%, rising from 11,735 naira in January 2024 to 15,060 naira in February 2024, compared to the previous year that was 46.88% hike from 10,253 naira in February 2023. The Association of Bureau de Change Operators of Nigeria has stated that the oversubscription of recent FGN securities is having a positive effect on the naira exchange rate to dollar. The president of the group, Aminu Gwadabe, disclosed this in an interview where he applauded recent reform by the CBN geared towards taming inflation and strengthening the naira. The head of APCON remarked that clearing the backlog of legitimate foreign exchange transactions positively impacted the forex market, improving the naira's prospects and enticing foreign investors. The Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment has directed applicants of Presidential Conditional Grant Scheme to submit their national identification number as part of the necessary requirement to obtain a grant earmarked to cushion the effect that the recent economic reform has had on businesses in the country. The government, through the Bank of Industry, has said it will be disbursing 3 categories of funding totaling 200 billion naira to support manufacturers and businesses across the country. He said the new rules is based on the new regulation from the Central Bank of Nigeria directing Nigerians to link their national identification number with their bank account. It added that only verified applicants will receive this notification, and NIN must match the applicant's name for the process to proceed. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News.
Many thanks for staying with us. I believe we're now connected to Mr. Ochai. Thank you. Now, Mr. Ochai, the Central Bank of Nigeria has disclosed that it will be allocating $10,000 to each Bureau de Change operator at 1,251 naira to a dollar. This was contained in a circular where the Apex Bank directed each BDC to sell the dollars to eligible customers at a rate not exceeding 1.5% above the purchase price. This is implying that the BDCs are not expected to sell above 1,269 naira to a dollar. What do you make of, the appreciation?
Sorry, please. Apology for the network outage. I didn't really get that question.
Okay, I said the Central Bank of Nigeria has disclosed that it will be allocating $10,000 to each Bureau de Change operator at 1,251 naira per dollar. And they are expected to sell the dollars to eligible customers at a rate not exceeding 1.5% above the purchase price. What do you make of these?
Okay. You see, there are some policies we apply, and we thought that is the best option because we micromanage some certain actions. And with those actions that we micromanage, we don't think of the effect on the economy. Because I believe Nigeria is thinking of their system. I think the approaches will be different from what they've done. What it has, the decision trying to break and the allocation is made, it has been done, but it's not useful. To me, as an analyst, I believe the Bureau de Change have caused harm than good because we have two markets. We have an official market and we have a black market. And even if you go to the stock exchange rate, go to the stock exchange, we have what they call open market, and then we have a closed market. An open market is a market that cannot be determined by the federal government. It cannot even be determined by regulation, because sometimes what happens in the black market are totally different from what happens in the open market, which is the commercial market. For instance, now the Bureau de Change, those who are behind the Bureau de Change I can say that these are people behind some of the banks. That when this dollar has been allocated to the banks, instead of you accessing this dollar in the commercial bank, you can access this dollar in the commercial bank. The borrow exchange, this dollar will be allocated to them. They will go and take those dollars from the commercial bank, where ideally those dollars were supposed to be domiciled for people to access it. Then when you take it to borrow the change, if the federal government may likely cap it that the money should, the dollar exchange rate should not be beyond this, but secretly there will be the exchange rate is going to be different because the system is not monitoring the transaction that is going on in the dark. Meaning, for instance, now you can walk to the Zone 4 today and have an understanding with one or two bureau de change that are, and then what they do practice them may not be an official rate, even if the CBN give them the rate. For instance, now individually, somebody will say, okay, I need $20,000 and I want you to mop it up for me. I'll give you this money in cash. How you transfer it to bank is less concerned. They can drive to their various houses. It could be Metama or it could be Asokoro. And then the money will be brought by cash because it has been mopped up. And then when the exchange rate is done in cash, then they have agencies where they will begin to take the money to the banks and all that. How do you monitor that? With the federal government monitor all those things. With EFCC monitor the operations. These are things that we need to be checkmated, because we will not check those things, it automatically is going to be a problem. And I was once in your studio and I told you that the only reason why we are having this quagmire, we find ourselves in this kind of quagmire, in this kind of unhealthy situation, on this catastrophe that we have find ourselves, is that no nation will allow a different currency to dominate his existing currency. It's not normal. You can't go to American, and American will be telling you that, yes, you tell an American, the government, that you must buy, I must use my naira to buy whatever I want to buy. It will not be acceptable. You have to convert your naira to dollar. If you go to London today, you cannot say Nigeria naira should become a dominated money in that place. What it is that they will tell you to convert your money, the currency, to their own currency, which means you have to convert naira to pound sterling. Why is it difficult for Nigeria that everything items that you want to buy, like oil, other mineral resources, if Americans are now, they should convert their dollars to naira, meaning that the CBN will give a directive to all commercial banks and every existence organization that are operating, and also direct the NNPC that if you are coming to buy oil, because Nigeria is in a mono economy which depends solely on oil, let all the currency of the world, be it euro, be it Dutch, be it dollar, be it pound sterling, those money, they should come and walk into the bank and convert that money to naira and begin to buy in naira. If we don't buy in naira, whatever we are saying we are doing, we cannot get it right until we begin to buy buy every aspect of our product and we begin to buy in naira and not focusing our attentions to dollar. Then the economy there will be a lot of liquidity. Then there will be a scale up and balancing in between the FX exchange rate between naira and every other dollar. Every time we concentrate, dollar is going. Once dollar is going up, the inflation starts going up. How do we curtail and how do we manage those differences? The only way for us to manage those differences is to begin to buy in naira. So if you fly in from any part of the world, you must convert your currency to naira. and then you use that naira to buy whatever you want to buy. We will have a surplus a dollar that we can use to meet up with other international trade receipts and balance our trade receipt. Until that is done, if that is not achieved, any policy that is being dished out by CBN or it will become a policy that cannot be effective. Yes, it will be effective in a short moment. What about the long run? In the long run, can it meet up with the long run time measure? No, it cannot meet with the long run. So all we have been doing over time is a short measure, and we cannot use the short measure to measure the long run. So it is the long run that the aftermath that is affecting the economics of Nigeria. Go to the market today. Everything is skyrocketed up to even 150% inflation. Sorry about that. The price differences. And we manage it. It keeps going up. Because once there is an exchange rate difference, things could keep going up. So if less for me, the CBN should cease all borrow the change licenses. That any person that wants to buy dollar should go to the commercial bank and buy dollar, and any other banks that are saddled with responsibility that are under the statutory regulation by the Ministry of Finance, under the statutory regulation by the CBN and other DMO, NDIC rather, NDIC, please pardon me, NDIC. You understand? So that they will be able to monitor this effectively. Because by the time we allow the bureau de change to continue to operate in the market, they will make the market so volatile. They will make the markets not accessible, because there are dirty deals they did secretly that is unknown to the CBN. And the reason why they are doing those things that they see we are micromanage them is because the brain behind the bureau de change are the kingmaker that are in the set of playing all the politics hovering around it. Until those things that I've mentioned is done, and until they begin to apply an applicable measure that will be able to change the system. If not, we will continue to remain in this quagmire. Dollar will go up today, it will come down. Nigeria naira will begin to be depreciating itself. That is what the IMF and the international International Monetary Fund want. Because if your money is keep floating in the market and it's of no value and it continue to depreciate, then they can come in, buy whatever resources they will buy in a cheap measure, because once their dollars, pound sterling, euro comes into automatically you become useless. Because those international world, they don't want Africa to grow economic-wise. So if the economic-wise and the African is not growing, Nigerian is not growing, we will continue to remain in this mirage that we have found ourselves until we begin to buy in naira and trade in naira. Then all these ostentations and other stuff will be knocked out of the system. And when those things are knocked out of the system, the economy will become viable, the economy will become vibrant, and the economy will continue to experience constant growth. And if that is not done, we will continue to remain in this kind of mess that we have found ourselves.
Hopefully something is done
until that policymaker will sit down and do the needful and do that needful rightly.
We hope the needful is done. Many thanks, Mr. Ochai, for your time and for speaking on this very pivotal topic. We do hope you grace our platform some other time.
Thank you very much.
Have a nice day ahead. And this is where we draw the curtain on Business Point today. Do make it a date with us same time tomorrow. From all of us on Global Television, we say goodbye. I am Queen Agaba.